Carno, the Secretary of State says that a ballot measure that would split California into 6 states didn't get enough signatures.
Political analyst Melissa Griffin Caen explains how the measure came up short. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
At the risk of tooting my own horn, I will say I did predict this, and sadly now it has come true. One of our favorite topics of political speculation has failed. On Friday, the California Secretary of State ruled that the proposal to divide California into 6 states did not have enough valid signatures to be on the 2016 ballot. Now, because this is what one might call a teachable moment about California's system, let's talk about what it takes to get on the ballot and what happened here. The 6-state proposal would change the state constitution, and that's a big deal. It requires about 800,000 valid signatures to get on the ballot. So why 800,000? Where do we get that number? Well, bear with me here. You take the number of people who voted in the last governor's election and you figure out what is 8%. In this case, about 10 million people voted in the 2010 election when Jerry Brown beat Meg Whitman, and 8% of 10 million is about 800,000. That is where we get that funky number of signatures that are required.
Okay, so you need 800,000, but Tim Draper, the man behind this measure, he actually got 1 million.
Right,
So
over a million, yeah.
Over 1 million, yeah. So what happened?
Well, you know, it's a little confusing. When you turn in the signatures, you're not like giving them over to the state. You're actually giving your signatures to the elections officials in each county. And each county takes a sample of their signatures to see if they're valid. The sample size is 500 signatures or 3%, whichever is greater. Now, to illustrate this, let's look at the actual numbers for Los Angeles County for the 6-state measure. As you can see, a large number of signatures were submitted. They were really counting on LA County. The county took 3%, that's around 9,000, and determined that a third were not valid. Then they basically assume that the rest of the signatures will be invalid at the same rate to get a projected total. You add up all those projected totals from all the counties, and the Secretary of State can see whether someone has reached that 800,000 threshold. It did not happen in this case.
Well, why did they determine that signatures were not valid?
Well, there are a number of things you have to make a signature valid. Number one, a person has to be registered to vote. Number two, they have to sign the petition in that county where they're registered. So if a person either isn't registered or they're signing that petition some other place, their signature is going to be deemed invalid. Sometimes they just write Donald Duck to get the signature gatherer to leave them alone. And now Tim Draper paid over $4 million to get the signatures in this case, and he says he will contest these results. But, and you heard it here first, I think he might just want to start over. So remember how I explained that the number of signatures you need is based on the number of people who voted for governor. Well, we're expecting a record low turnout in this November's governor election. So you might not need 800,000 signatures starting in 2015 with that lower turnout. You might see Tim Draper simply scrap it all and try again next year.
Can I ask you really quickly, why is Tim Draper pushing this? And who is Tim Draper? Why is this his big thing?
Tim Draper is a very wealthy person with a big idea, which you know, if you have enough money and a big idea, you can attempt at least to put something on the ballot here in California. He's a venture capitalist. He believes that we need better local government, more responsive to local needs.
All
We
right.
shall see.
All right, thank you.
Melissa.